Hello, 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 yogis. Welcome to our Friday Empower Yin Yoga class. It is wonderful to have you here. My name is Jill Enticknap, and I am the lead trainer and founder of Yogi Institute. So for today's class, we are doing a 30-minute yin practice, and yin yoga focuses on stillness. So we come into a pose and we find sensation and we pause and we're still and we observe the sensation, we observe the body, and we observe how that sensation is connected to our thoughts, to our feelings. So it's a beautiful practice to connect to ourselves more deeply. When we commit to stillness, we create the space to observe. That is on our mats and off of our mats. It's like when a situation occurs off of our mats, we can pause, take a deep breath, and choose our response rather than be in reaction to the circumstance or situation. And that's really what Yin Yoga teaches us to do. So we are going to start with just a brief breath exercise, coming into an easy seat, flipping your palms, palm facing down, get nice and tall from the tailbone through the crown of the head, and start to connect to your breath. Feel your inhale expand, and your exhale release. And your inhale expand, and your exhale release. Allowing yourself to sink and settle into your practice. Staying connected to your breath and allowing the breath to guide you into the body and to anchor you into the present moment. Our first posture is going to be butterfly. So bringing the soles of the feet together, the knees out wide. Now, if this is too much for your knees, you can always place blocks underneath your knees and get nice and tall. And we're going to, with a flat back, start to shift forward. Coming to a space where you feel some opening, you feel some sensation through the hips. If you don't have blocks, there's always the option to roll up towels and place them underneath your knees. Start to become aware of your breath. Feel your inhale expand. And your exhale release. And your inhale expand. And your exhale release. Finding that stillness. Finding that sensation. Maybe there is a little bit more space to slightly come forward as time passes. If the body does invite you into that opening, into that gentle shift, feel free to take that. Trusting in the body's guidance, trusting in the body's wisdom. Bring the torso back through neutral. Slowly, gently guide the knees together. You can plant your hands behind you and pedal out the legs, taking some organic movement that allows for some release in your body. So if that's a little bit different, it might feel good to shift the knees from side to side, just bringing in a little bit of counter movement to that stillness. From here, we're going to shift ourselves up and come into something called a dangle in Yin Yoga, but really it's a forward fold. So ideally you have hip width distance for the feet, and a good measurement for your body is 2 fist distance. And then let your head hang heavy. Now you don't have to keep the legs straight. There can be as much of a bend in the knees as feels good and right in your body. As you come into this gravity reversing pose, and you're just going to hang into it. Reconnect to your breath, releasing any tension from the neck. You may want to gently shift your weight back into your heels and forward into your toes. Notice if you brought some tension into the neck. Just take a deep breath in and exhale, release. Press your hands into the floor, straighten out through the legs, bring a little shift, bending into one knee, bending into the other, shifting the hips from side to side. We're going to come into a yogi squat, heel toeing the feet toward the edges of your mat. Your heels stay on and your toes stay off as you sink the hips back and down. Tucking the tailbone under, maybe linking the elbows to the inside edge of the knees. Now, if this is not accessible, if you're more up like this, that's okay. We won't be here too long. Just allow yourself to kind of sink and settle into this squat. This is a really important posture, and it used to be even more important back in the day. And it's not something that we bring ourselves into in modern day, but it's very good for your hip flexors, good for your hips, good for any tension through the low back. You can always place a block underneath your bottom if that makes it more accessible, or a blanket, anything that brings the floor closer, working your way toward this pose. Now let's bring the hands down, shift the legs up, let the head hang heavy. And we're going to shift between the dangle and the squat 3 times. So lifting the hips up, letting the head hang heavy, and then bending in, letting the hips come down. And then one more time, lift up, straighten out, and then sink into that squat. From here, we're going to lift up, heel toe the feet back toward one another, and let's bend into one knee and bend into the other. As we Walk the hands forward, bring the knees forward. Place the knees on the floor and stay up on the feet, coming into toe squat. Toe squat. So letting the hips be seated on top of the feet. This is really good for the arches of the feet, for your plantar fascia. Really good for your balance. And from here, we're going to shift ourselves forward and come into a tabletop position. I need to shimmy myself back a little bit. Coming into a tabletop position, as you come into that tabletop, let the shoelace side of your feet rest into the floor. You can spread your fingers out wide and let's shift the hips from right to left. Shift the hips from right to left. And take that right foot, walk it forward between your hands, coming into a low lunge. Sinking forward into that low lunge. And let's connect to today's affirmation. Every step I take brings me closer to my dreams. So I invite you to close down your eyes as you find that stillness in this lunge. And think to yourself, every step I take brings me closer to my dreams. And as we say that and repeat that, maybe you connect to what those dreams are for you. Maybe it's a dream of completing this 30-day challenge. And every time you show up to your mat, that is a step moving you forward toward accomplishing that. Maybe one of your dreams is to excel in your career or create more connection with your family. Feel into that dream being accomplished. Feel into the gratitude. Feel into the appreciation. From here, we're going to shift into our half pigeon. So heel toeing the right foot toward the left-hand side of the mat, coming down, and let's stay lifted for today's half pigeon. Shining the chest forward between the biceps. You can tuck this foot in as much as you need to in order to make this pose accessible in your body. The more you tuck that foot into the center line, potentially the more accessible it can become, the less space that's required through the hip. And let's pause here and breathe into this. If it feels better for you to come down to your forearms or all the way down to your forehead, that's absolutely okay. I'm going to cue and stay lifted in proud pigeon. You may want to see how it feels to press your fingers into the mat and lengthen your crown toward the ceiling. Committing to that stillness and the observation of the body, the mind, and the emotions as you come into these poses. Reconnect to your breath and breathe space into the body. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Plant your hands into the floor. Take that right leg and let's press back. Send that right leg straight back out behind you. Roll out your ankle. Bend into your knee and let's do some circles with the knee. Release that knee down. Reset the tabletop and shift your hips from side to side. And then step forward with the left foot and find your low lunge. So with our yin practice, we're wanting to find a space of sensation, but not overexerting. So leaning into where you feel the pose and pausing there. Come back to your breath. Take a few more deep breaths here. And then let's heel toe the left foot to the right hand side of the mat, finding your half pigeon on this side. Hands are underneath the shoulders. You can tuck that foot in toward the midline as much as you need to. Connect to your breath. Allowing the sensations to draw you in. If you'd like to come down onto the forearms or the forehead, feel free. Let's take 3 more deep breaths here. Ground down into your palms. Let's send that left foot back out behind you. Take a moment, roll out your ankle, reset your tabletop if you need to. Let's bend into the knee and do some circles with the knee, feeling into that hip joint. Release the knee down, shift the hips from side to side. Bring the toes to touch, the knees out wide as you sink yourself back into your child's pose. Extending the fingers forward, you can open those palms up wide. If there's any tenderness in the knees, know that you can take your blanket or your towel and place it underneath the knees. And as we come into this child's pose, finding your edge, finding your stillness, discovering, staying curious about your sensation. Let's come back to our affirmation. Every step I take brings me closer to my dreams. Take a deep breath in and a full breath out. And a deep breath in and a full breath out. Walk your hands toward your body. Draw the knees together, letting the torso rest on the knees, letting the forehead rest down, and reach your hands back toward your feet, rounding through the shoulders. Noticing what you feel here. Reconnect to your breath. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Press the mat away, bringing yourself up. Shift yourself over to one side as you extend your legs out in front of you and come all the way down to your back. As you come down onto your back, extending your arms up overhead, and take a big breath in, stretching and lengthening from fingertip to toe. And full breath out, let your body sink into the floor. And again, big breath in, lengthening, stretching, fingertip to toe. And full breath out, let the body sink. One more big breath in, stretch and lengthen. And as you exhale, find a comfortable position for your hands and allow yourself to sink into your final resting pose. If lying flat on your back is uncomfortable, there's a few different options for your final resting pose. It may feel good to bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees come out wide. Another option that might feel good is to bring the knees together and heel toe the feet toward the edges of the mat. Or maybe lying flat on your back feels good for you today. Wherever you choose, let yourself sink into release and stillness. Reconnect to your breath, inhales and exhales through the nose. Let's take 3 more deep breaths here. Inhale through the nose. Open mouth, exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Open mouth, exhale through the mouth. One more big breath in. And open mouth, exhale, breathe it out, let it go. Draw your knees into your chest. Gently rock from side to side. Grab the backs of your knees, rock yourself up into an easy seat as we close out our practice as we started. Bringing the palms to touch, tuck the chin to the chest. Taking a moment to acknowledge yourself for showing up today, acknowledging your commitment, acknowledging your dedication, acknowledging that this too is a step toward your dreams. Knowing that showing up and creating space on your mat for yourself, time for yourself to connect to you, ripples out in seen and unseen ways. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for sharing in this 30-day yoga challenge, this 30-day yoga experience. It is my honor to share this practice with you. The light, the love, the wisdom in me sees, honors, reflects, and encourages the light, the love, the wisdom in you. Namaste. I hope to see you again on your mats tomorrow for our fusion class. Again, a reminder, tomorrow is our 7th day, and that means we will have done every type of yoga in this 30-day challenge. So moving forward, you have access to every style of yoga. So if there was a class that you really loved that we did through the last 7 days, know that you can come back and utilize that class as your class for the day. I design this schedule as a whole being, as a whole body wellness practice, but Follow your intuition, follow your guide, do what is right for you. I look forward to seeing you again. Until we meet again, may your light be your guide. The light, love, and wisdom in me sees, honors, reflects, and encourages the light, the love, the wisdom in you. Namaste.